What is up, everybody? My name is Alex from Lifestyle Gaming, where gaming isn't just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. I'm making this video to keep you guys informed because I feel that we as gamers can change the way games are made if we all stand together. This video is titled 11 Reasons The Crew 2 Sucks. I don't want anyone to think I'm just bashing this game for the sake of bashing it. I just feel it has a lot of problems that need to be addressed. However, there are some things I do like about this game, so let's go ahead and talk about those really quickly. One thing I do like about The Crew 2 is the graphical fidelity. Everything from the environment to the cars to the buildings look great in this game. It's a good looking game all the way around. I played it on the PlayStation 4 Pro and I have no complaints whatsoever. Ubisoft did a great job making the game look really good graphically. The second thing I like about The Crew 2 is the sound of the vehicles and the environment. The cars sound really good, they sound really realistic. What else is really cool is when you're driving in an off-road trail, you can actually hear little whistles and purrs of the animals out there, which I think is really cool. It's a cool element that I have not heard, or at least not paid attention to, in any other racing game. The third thing I really like about The Crew 2 is the undeniable sense of freedom. Obviously, if you played The Crew 1, it's set up the same way. It's a giant open map and you can kind of roam around and do what you want. But in this game, they really do step it up a notch, because if you want to do off-road racing, street racing, boat racing, or fly in a plane, all of those options are available to you just about at the beginning of the game, which I think is really cool. It allows you to really explore and see what the game has to offer without having to pour a whole lot of time into it. Now that we've talked about what I do like about The Crew 2, let's get into the bread and butter of what I actually think makes The Crew 2 suck. I did my best to rank these problems accordingly, with 11 being the least annoying to number 1 being the most annoying thing. Keep in mind, this is my personal opinion. Some of the things that I discuss others may like, or there may be other people that have found other things that are annoying, or things they don't like about the game. Number 11. The background music sucks. I've never been a fan of racing soundtracks in general, but this one was just really bad in my opinion. For the first 3 or 4 races, I really felt that I was listening to the same music track over and over. I did notice that depending on what style of racing you're doing, they do try to make it feel like you're getting into a different culture or different environment completely. They change up the music style a little bit, but I really feel that it fell a little bit short. Reason number 10. Pedestrians are stupid. The thing about The Crew is I feel like it tries to be like a realistic racing game, but with a lot of arcade elements combined into it. I just feel that it makes an awkward situation whenever it wants to feel like you're racing on a closed course, but yet you're racing through the city. There's random people just standing around, jumping in the middle of the street while you're racing. I wish I would have recorded this, but I remember there was a guy that is literally walking around in the middle of the cars when we're trying to start a race. I know there's other games that have had random pedestrians in the street, but what really bothers me, they are like superhumans that can jump out of the way at any moment. You can't hit them. I understand that would probably have to change the rating of the game from T to M if you could run over pedestrians, but it's something that I found really annoying. The Crew 2 does a great job really pulling you in, but when you see pedestrians just jumping around in the street in the middle of a race, it really does break immersion. Number 9. Basic side tasks are bothersome. I remember one time after I finished a race, for some reason the game wanted me to take a picture of a deer, and I was thinking to myself, why in the world would I want to take a picture of a deer? So I went ahead and obliged, and I opened up the camera, I took a picture, and nothing happened. I didn't get any credit for it or anything. I think the real problem is the camera system isn't straightforward. I'm not going to put that as a reason in this video just because I feel it's really not that big of a game problem. At the same time, I just don't see a reason for it, and it just doesn't really make sense in a racing game to be taking pictures of animals. No matter where you go in the map, it keeps asking you to take pictures or do random things that just seem completely pointless. Number 8. Racing transitions aren't fluid. Whenever you fast travel to a race, you're greeted by a gate. So before you even get into the race, you have to select the car you want. Not only that, you have to listen to a guy banter for about 15 seconds about why the race is important, but it really isn't relevant to the race at all. Then after the banter is finished, you have to rush over to the starting line before you even start the race. I just don't see a point in that. Why don't you just select your car in a menu, then go straight into the race? Everything that happens in between that time is completely irrelevant and really slows down the pace of the game. Number 7. Rally and air events are lackluster. One of the things I was most excited for going into the Crew 2 was the fact that they were implementing off-road racing. I was expecting some fast and fun rally style racing. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Every rally race that I've done has literally been me driving around a trail, following a ghost around. There's no racing involved whatsoever. It's pretty much a time trial. I'm really disappointed because I feel that if the Crew 2 would have implemented off-road racing properly, it could have really been a game-changing thing in the franchise. I would also like to address the boring airplane stunts. Anything I've done in a plane this far has literally been me flying over a random area, doing some tricks, and scoring some points. I was under the assumption that I was going to be able to race an airplane. I was also under the assumption I was going to be able to race a rally car. I have not been able to do either of those things in this game yet. Maybe later on as you progress, that's something that becomes available, but I played about 4 to 5 hours of this game straight and I have not ran across anything that has indicated I'm going to be able to race those cars. So hopefully that is something that is available. Maybe I just missed it. Number 6. All racing events feel super repetitive. No matter what I was doing, whether I was street racing, rally racing, flying in a plane, or in a boat, everything just felt the same. It really felt like every event was the same thing repeated over and over again. Even though the environment would change, I really didn't feel nothing about the race was changing. It really feels like all races are designed the same way. And I really didn't like that. Maybe if you like that style of gameplay, then that's fine, but I just don't find the style of racing fun enough to be repeated as much as it has been. Number 5. Important non-playable characters lack personality. Very quickly into the Crew 2, you're going to realize that there's different factions and cultures depending on what style of racing you want to be involved in. You're going to go over to the camp, you're going to talk to somebody that's pretty much going to say, hey, you suck. Let me give you a car. Hey, see that guy over there? He's the best racer over here. You need to beat him because I said. And that's pretty much the end of it. No matter what style of racing you're doing, that's pretty much the way it's going to work. But the thing that bothers me is that there's no substance at all to this rival racer. They haven't done anything offensive towards you. This is the most generic form of storytelling there is in the game. They introduce you to some guy and tell you he's the best, and for no reason, you have to take him down. I really don't like that, and I wasn't compelled to even bother with the rival races. Even when they talked about, hey, you know you're racing so-and-so, go ahead and take them down. And when you won, nothing really happened. They didn't even mention the fact that you beat the best rival racer in the camp. You just pretty much won the race and that's the end of it. Reason number 4. Story mode has no purpose. For a game that starts out as start your story or continue your story, it really doesn't have one. From what I understand, the whole point of the game is you're a racer that wants to become a viral sensation. You're having trouble getting followers, you end up meeting a guy that sets up a race that after that race is finished, you'll start to gain followers. So you do that initial race, and after that, every event you do, you start to gain some followers. To me, this really isn't a story mode, it's just a fancy way of leveling up your character. There are some tiers that you can unlock based on your popularity. You start off as a rookie, then you go to popular, then you become famous, and then you become a star. It really has nothing to do with story in general, it's really just a fancy way of unlocking new events. I haven't seen a point to this at all in the game, nor has there been any indication that the followers in your game can drastically impact the way the game is played. Overall, this is a measly attempt at pretending there is a story mode when there is none. Reason number 3. No player versus player at launch. This one is kind of a sore subject with me. Because for a game that requires you to be online 24/7, you cannot play the game offline. You cannot play the game offline whatsoever. It does not have player versus player at launch. I guarantee you, a lot of people picked this game up thinking they were going to be able to race with their friends. They're going to be able to have their own story mode going on, progress their cars and their vehicles, and race their friends. But you can't. I just think this is totally unacceptable. I just cannot believe that a game that is open world, that is online 24/7, does not have player versus player. I really cannot believe it. I've heard that an online patch is coming, but a game like this really should have had it implemented from the very beginning. And Ubisoft really dropped the ball, in my opinion. They really messed up by not having online player versus player from the get-go. Big mistake. I would have put this one at either a number 2 or number 1 slot, but I really feel there's 2 other major issues about this game that deserve those spots. So let's get to it. Number 2. Cars are insanely expensive. After about 2 to 3 hours of gameplay, I was able to buy 1 car. Now let me emphasize that. 1 car. 1 car for 1 style of racing. That car does not fluctuate around the different styles. So if I bought a rally car, I could only use it for rally racing. For a game that emphasizes you to do whatever the heck you want. Whatever you want to do, whatever style of racing you want to do, the cars are so expensive. And not only that, the non-playable characters in the game actually tease you about it. They give you a car, then they show you some of the most awesome cars the game has to offer, and then they're just like, oh, well, you can't afford that right now. You're gonna have to do some races before you can buy that car. And it drives me nuts. Not only that, but there's something called crew bucks. And what crew bucks is it's real money. You pay money out of your own wallet, and you can get some of the most awesome cars in the game right from the get-go. And it drives me nuts. And Ubisoft knows what they're doing. Instead of you grinding for the cars, they're hoping and praying that you open up your wallet and say, screw it, I'm just gonna buy the cars that I want, and everybody's happy. You have a better car, they got more money, hooray for everybody. I was honestly debating on whether to put this at number 1, but there's one more issue that I really feel takes the cake for this game. It's something that's even more ridiculous than this, in my opinion. So drum roll please, and let's get to the number 1 reason why the Crew 2 sucks. Number 1, racing controls are too loose. No matter what I did in this game, it never truly felt I had full control over my vehicle. If I pushed the brake too early, then I felt like I was hitting a wall. If I pushed it too late, I was sliding into the other wall. And it just drives me nuts. I know for a fact I'm not terrible at racing games. I don't want people to think, oh, well, this guy's just completely terrible at racing games. He has no experience. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Over the years, I've played many racing games, and I've never had this problem in any of them. I'm not saying I'm the best ever at racing games, but I know for a fact that I can hold my own. But let me contradict my own statement for a second. I went ahead and decided to test out some of the more expensive vehicles in the game. Some of the games that Ubisoft might want you to pick up with some crew bucks, because trying to grind and get those vehicles is going to take a lifetime. And guess what, guys? Those vehicles actually controlled pretty darn good. There was a few vehicles that actually felt really good. They felt really nice, but they're so darn expensive. So that leads me to the conclusion that maybe Ubisoft realized what they were doing. They gave you crappy vehicles that made the game not fun, so that way you would open up your wallet and spend money buying cars to get a better experience. And to me, that is a deal breaker. When a racing game does not have tight, good controls, what is the point of playing it then? That just completely depletes the whole purpose of playing this game. So unless you're willing to grind it out with a crappy car for a long time to buy 1 car for 1 style of event and do it all over again 4 or 5 times for different vehicles and different styles, then by all means, go for it. But this is the number 1 reason to me why the Crew 2 sucks, and nobody can tell me otherwise. I spent a lot of time with different monitors and different TVs making sure it wasn't a delay issue. It could have something to do with the game being 30 FPS on consoles. Maybe if I played it on PC at 60 FPS, things would be different. But in my opinion, the game does not have good controls, and that is the number 1 reason why the Crew 2 sucks. I hope you found this video informative, and I also hope that it helps you decide whether you want to pick up this game or not. I personally wouldn't pick up this game for $60, but I would pick it up for maybe $20 or less if you're that curious. I made this video because I really feel that if we as gamers come together and express how we feel about games as a unit, developers might take notice and stop putting things in games that make them unfun. This is Alex from Lifestyle Gaming. I really appreciate you watching, and I will catch you on the next video.